Ever wish you could just download knowledge, like straight into your brain?
Yeah, not that.
Well, today's deep dive gets us pretty close.
Oh, I like that.
You've sent us some fascinating material about this Swiss scientist, Auguste Piccard.
Ah, yes. Auguste Piccard.
And this guy basically decided to explore both the highest and the lowest points on Earth.
Quite the overachiever.
Talk about ambitious. I mean, we're talking both the stratosphere and the ocean depths.
What's so fascinating about Piccard is that he wasn't just setting records. I mean, he was driven by this deep scientific curiosity. He
Yeah.
wanted to understand the universe and humanity's place in it.
Okay, so we're not just talking about a daredevil here.
No, no, not at
We're
all.
talking about a scientist, right?
Exactly. He was a scientist who used exploration as a tool for discovery.
Using exploration as a tool. I like that.
And speaking of tools, you sent in photos of his actual inventions.
Oh, yeah, the photos.
The bathyscaphe
Yeah.
for deep-sea diving and this incredible stratospheric balloon.
They're pretty amazing.
Those images, they really bring his story to life, don't they? The bathyscaphe with its spherical steel cabin. I mean, can you imagine? It was designed to withstand immense pressure.
It's like something out of a Jules Verne novel.
It really is. And the stratospheric balloon, it's this giant sphere suspended beneath an even larger balloon. I mean, it's just incredible.
It's a testament to his ingenuity, for sure.
Okay.
Okay, but before we get lost in these amazing visuals,
Right.
let's set the stage. So who was Auguste Piccard?
Well, he was born in Basel, Switzerland in 1884.
Okay.
And it seems that a thirst for knowledge ran in the family.
Really?
His twin brother, Jean-Félix Piccard, was also a renowned scientist and explorer.
Sure.
But Auguste, he really carved out his own unique path.
Well, I mean, holding the world altitude record for both balloon flight and deep sea diving,
Yeah.
that's not something you see every day.
Exactly. It speaks to his drive to kind of push the boundaries of human experience in both directions,
Yeah.
to explore the vastness of space and the depths of the ocean.
It's almost like he looked at a map of all the places humans could possibly go and said, yep, I'm going there and there.
And he didn't just go there. He designed the vehicles to get him there.
Okay, so let's start with the bathyscaphe.
Okay.
This was his invention for exploring the ocean depths,
Right.
and it was revolutionary for its time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I'm looking at these photos, and honestly, it looks a bit like a giant metal tadpole. You've got this large float on top, and then this small spherical cabin hanging below. So what was the thinking behind that design?
Well, that cabin, that's the key to the whole thing. It's a spherical steel pressure vessel, and it was designed to withstand the immense pressure of the deep ocean.
Wow.
Imagine the engineering challenges he had to overcome. Creating a structure that could protect humans in an environment that would crush most other things.
To even think of venturing down there in the 1930s, I mean, before pressurized airplanes even existed,
I know.
that takes a special kind of courage.
It does. But remember, Piccard wasn't just a daredevil. He was driven by this deep desire to understand the unseen forces that shape our world. And he designed the bathyscaphe to allow for direct observation and sample collection in the ocean depths, a place that was largely a mystery at the time.
So he's combining scientific rigor with this almost unimaginable sense of adventure.
Absolutely.
And speaking of adventure, his stratospheric balloon.
Yes.
It's equally incredible. We have images of this contraption as well, right?
We do, and they're just as awe-inspiring. So imagine this. A massive balloon is lifting a pressurized, airtight cabin, almost like a miniature spaceship.
Yeah, I'm picturing like a hot air balloon on steroids. I mean, these photos, it shows it just dwarfing everything around it.
Exactly. And this was all in the name of cosmic ray research, which was a very hot topic in physics at the time. And Piccard, he wanted to study these particles at high altitudes where they were less affected by Earth's atmosphere.
So not only was he an inventor and explorer, he was also a physicist trying to unlock the secrets of the universe. What exactly are cosmic rays, though? I feel like I should know this, but...
Right, so they're highly energetic particles that originate from outer space. And they're constantly bombarding Earth, and Piccard was one of the first to study them in detail. And he believed that understanding these particles could help us understand the fundamental forces of the universe.
It's amazing to think he was venturing into the unknown in multiple ways.
Yeah.
Physically going higher than anyone had before, probing the mysteries of these invisible particles.
Precisely. He was pushing the boundaries of human knowledge in ways that few others had dared to do.
So in 1931, his balloon reached a record-breaking altitude of 51,775 feet.
That's right.
Which is over 15,000 meters. Now, here's what I find really fascinating. We often think about the space race as something that happened in the mid-20th century, but Picard was essentially a pioneer of space exploration decades earlier.
That's a great point. And his achievements didn't stop there. In 1953, he took his bathyscaphe, the Trieste, down to a depth of over 10,000 feet. That's more than 3,000 meters. And this dive, it opened up a whole new realm of underwater exploration.
To think what he must have seen down there. Creatures and environments never before witnessed by human eyes. What drove him to explore these extremes? And how did his scientific pursuits connect to his personal philosophy?
That's a question worth exploring. What stands out to you from what we've learned about Picard so far? What piques your curiosity?
I think what intrigues me most is this idea that he saw the vastness of space and the depths of the ocean as interconnected. He wasn't just compartmentalizing his explorations, he saw them as part of a bigger picture.
Exactly. And there's a powerful quote from one of the papers that you sent in that really speaks to this. Picard said, "I conceived of the invisible as a space that transcends physical boundaries and limitations."
Wow, that's pretty deep. And it connects to both of his areas of exploration, right?
Yeah.
Cosmic rays, invisible to the naked eye. That was his focus in the stratosphere.
Right.
And in the ocean depths, he was exploring a world largely invisible and unknown to us.
It wasn't just about going higher or deeper. He was driven by a desire to understand the unseen forces that shape our world, both at the cosmic and microscopic levels.
So how did this exploration of the invisible shape his philosophy?
That's a great question, and one we'll delve into more deeply as we continue our dive into the world of Auguste Picard.
Okay.
Are you ready to uncover more?
Absolutely. Let's see where this journey takes us. Last time we were talking about how Picard's explorations, they weren't just about breaking records.
Right.
He was gathering this valuable scientific data along the way.
He was.
And I'm really curious to learn more about, what he actually discovered, both
Right.
up in the stratosphere and down in the ocean depths. So, let's start with his high-altitude balloon flights.
Okay, so his balloon flights, those were really instrumental in confirming the existence of cosmic rays and
Yeah.
gathering data about their intensity and composition.
Okay, so back up for a sec. We talked about cosmic rays being these high-energy particles from outer space.
Right.
For someone who doesn't have a physics degree,
Yeah.
how would you explain, why they were such a hot topic back then?
Well, think of it this way. Imagine a constant rain of tiny supercharged bullets coming from, all directions in space.
Okay.
That's essentially what cosmic rays are.
Yeah.
Scientists, they knew they existed, but they didn't know where they came from, what they were made of, or how they might affect us. And Picard's flight provided a unique opportunity to study them in this, relatively clean environment,
Okay.
high above the interference of Earth's atmosphere.
So he wasn't just, taking a joyride in a balloon.
No.
He was collecting crucial data that helped to advance our understanding of, fundamental physics.
Absolutely. And you know what? He didn't have fancy modern instruments.
Really?
Yeah, his balloon was equipped with electroscopes, which measure electrical charge, and cloud chambers, which make the paths of these invisible particles visible as trails of condensation.
So he was essentially inventing ways to see the invisible.
Ex-
It's like he was this scientific detective, piecing together clues about the universe. So what were some of the key things he learned about cosmic rays?
Well, his measurements confirmed that cosmic rays were indeed coming from outer space, and that their intensity, it increased with altitude. And this supported the idea that they were originating from sources beyond our solar system.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
He's up there in a balloon, essentially helping to map out the universe. And these findings were important because,
They paved the way for the field of particle physics.
yeah,
I mean, which is still such a vibrant area of research today. We're talking about the study of the fundamental building blocks of matter and the forces that govern them.
so Picard's work wasn't just about exploring the physical world.
Yeah.
It was about expanding the boundaries of human knowledge in a way that continues to ripple outward even today.
That's amazing. Okay, now let's switch gears and dive, literally, into his deep-sea explorations. So what did he discover down there? Well, his dives in the bathyscaphe, they challenged the prevailing belief at the time that life couldn't exist in the deepest parts of the ocean. I mean, people assumed it was too dark, too cold, and the pressure too great for anything to survive.
Yeah, it's almost like the mindset we have about space exploration, assuming that other planets are hostile and barren until proven otherwise.
That's a great analogy. But Picard proved them wrong. He observed a variety of marine life thriving at depths previously thought impossible. He even brought back samples of deep-sea creatures,
Yeah.
fish, jellyfish, and other
Yeah.
organisms, ones that had adapted to this extreme environment.
What a moment of discovery.
Yeah,
Not only is he pushing the limits of human exploration, but he's also rewriting what we thought we knew about life on Earth.
it's true. And those discoveries, they revolutionized our understanding of marine ecosystems. They showed us just how adaptable life is,
Yeah.
and it expanded our knowledge of the incredible biodiversity of our planet.
And, it also makes me think about the importance of, like, questioning assumptions. Just because something seems impossible doesn't mean it is.
Yeah.
Picard's work is a testament to that. And speaking of his work, we've talked a lot about his explorations, but
Yeah.
I'm also fascinated by the engineering behind these incredible feats. So can you break down how the bathyscaphe actually worked?
Of course. It operates on a principle similar to like a hot air balloon, but in reverse.
Okay.
So instead of using hot air to rise the bathyscaphe, it relies on a heavy ballast, in this case iron pellets, to sink.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, he's basically using weight to control his descent,
Right.
much like a submarine would use ballast tanks. But how does he get back up?
Well, to control buoyancy, during both descent and ascent, he used gasoline-filled tanks, which are lighter than water, along with those ballast tanks filled with iron pellets. So to descend, he'd release gasoline and take on more iron pellets. To ascend, he'd release the iron pellets.
Okay.
It's ingenious in its simplicity.
Yeah. It's almost like he was creating a giant underwater seesaw.
I like that.
But, I mean, this was no playground toy. I'm looking at these images of that spherical cabin again, and it still looks incredibly claustrophobic.
Oh, absolutely. It was a small, airtight sphere made of thick steel, to withstand the immense pressure. And it was designed to carry two people. And let's just say it wasn't built for luxury. There was no bathroom, limited space to move around, and the dives could last for hours.
Yeah, I think I'll stick to snorkeling. But seriously, knowing what we know now about the challenges of deep-sea exploration, it makes his achievements even more impressive.
I agree.
And what about his stratospheric balloon? How did he manage to get a balloon that massive off the ground?
Well, it all comes down to buoyancy and gas density. So the balloon was filled with hydrogen, which is much lighter than air. And this created enough lift to carry the gondola, which, like the bathyscaphe's cabin, was pressurized and airtight to protect the occupants from the thin atmosphere at high altitudes.
So he was essentially replicating the conditions needed for human survival in this extreme environment. It's kind of like a prototype for a spacecraft.
You could say that. And he had to account for other challenges, too, like temperature fluctuations and solar radiation. The gondola was painted white to reflect sunlight and regulate the temperature. And it had special windows that were designed to withstand the intense UV radiation at high altitudes.
It's mind-boggling to think that he was doing all this without the sophisticated materials and computer modeling we have today. He was working with slide rules, intuition, and a whole lot of courage.
It's true. And he never lost sight of his scientific objectives.
Yeah.
He wasn't just up there for the thrill of it. He was collecting data, testing hypotheses, and pushing the boundaries of what we knew about the universe.
So we've talked about his incredible explorations, the ingenuity of his inventions, and the significance of his scientific discoveries. But there's another aspect of Picard's legacy that I think is particularly relevant today, his vision for the future.
Oh, you're right. Picard wasn't just focused on the present. He was also thinking about the long-term implications of scientific progress and how it could be used to benefit humanity.
Yeah, let's delve into that, into Picard's vision of the future. Because I have a feeling it has a lot to say about the world we live in today. So we've spent the last two parts of this deep dive exploring Auguste Picard's incredible life, his inventions, his explorations, his discoveries.
It's quite a story.
It really is. But as fascinating as all that is, what really strikes me is how forward-thinking he was.
Yeah.
Like, he could see the trajectory of scientific progress, and he had some pretty insightful thoughts about where it might lead.
He wasn't just pushing the boundaries of exploration, He was also thinking deeply about the ethical and societal implications of scientific advancement.
Yeah.
He was particularly concerned about the impact of human activity on the environment.
That's remarkable when you think about it. This was long before climate change became the global concern it is today. So what were some of his specific concerns?
Well, he understood that the ocean and the atmosphere are interconnected. Polluting one would ultimately affect the other. He saw firsthand the impact of pollution during his explorations. Debris in the ocean, changes in air quality at high altitudes, and he was very vocal about the need for greater environmental protection.
So he wasn't just a scientist observing these changes, he was an advocate for action. And what's really striking is that his message resonates even more strongly today,
Oh, absolutely.
given the urgency of the climate
His
crisis.
perspective is a powerful reminder that we can't separate scientific progress from its potential consequences. We need to think holistically about the impact of our actions on the planet.
Yeah, it's almost like he was anticipating the challenges we face today.
Hmm.
Climate change, pollution, the depletion of natural resources. Did he offer any solutions or like pathways forward?
He strongly advocated for the responsible use of technology. He believed that science should serve humanity, and that we need to be mindful of the potential downsides of unchecked technological advancement.
So it sounds like he was walking this fine line between embracing scientific progress and being cautious about its potential to harm the planet.
Exactly. He understood that technology could be a double-edged sword. He saw the potential for good, advancements in medicine, communication, transportation. But he also saw the potential for harm if those advancements were not guided by ethical considerations and a deep respect for the natural world.
And this idea of ethical considerations in science is so crucial,
It is.
especially today, right? It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of new discoveries and inventions, but we also need to be asking those tough questions about the potential long-term consequences.
And Picard was asking those questions decades ago. He believed that scientific progress should always be guided by a sense of responsibility towards humanity and the planet.
It's a message that we need to hear now more than ever.
It's true.
It's interesting because we often think of explorers as like being focused on conquering new frontiers, pushing the limits of what's possible. But Picard seems to have had a more nuanced perspective. He was exploring the physical world, but he was also exploring the ethical and philosophical dimensions of scientific progress.
He saw those things as interconnected. For him, exploration wasn't just about going to new places. It was about understanding our place in the universe
Yeah.
and our responsibility to safeguard it.
So if we were to connect Picard's vision to the world we live in today, what are some key takeaways? What can we learn from his perspective?
Well, I think his emphasis on the interconnectedness of everything, from the vastness of space to the depths of the ocean, that's more relevant than ever. We're facing these complex challenges like climate change, biodiversity loss, resource depletion, all of which are interconnected and they require holistic solutions.
Well, he was essentially a systems thinker.
Right.
He understood that you can't solve problems in isolation, like everything's part of a larger web.
Precisely. And his exploration of the invisible, those forces and phenomena that we can't see with the naked eye,
Yeah.
that's also incredibly relevant to the challenges we face today.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Explain that one to me.
Well, think about it. Pandemics,
Yes.
cyber attacks, the spread of misinformation. Those are all threats that we can't see or touch, but they have a huge impact on our lives.
Yeah. It's like he was ahead of his time, recognizing that the most significant challenges we face, they might not be the ones that are immediately visible.
And just as Picard, he developed tools and strategies to explore the invisible world of cosmic rays and deep-sea creatures. We need to develop new ways of thinking and problem-solving to address these 21st century challenges.
So his legacy isn't just about the physical exploration of space and the ocean, it's about a way of thinking. A curiosity-driven, holistic approach to problem-solving that considers both the scientific and ethical dimensions of progress.
Exactly. And in a world that often feels overwhelmed by complexity and uncertainty, Picard's story offers a beacon of hope.
It's a reminder that human ingenuity and a willingness to push boundaries can lead to incredible breakthroughs. But those breakthroughs need to be guided by a sense of responsibility and a deep understanding of the interconnectedness of all things.
Well said. Gus Picard was a true visionary, a pioneer who not only explored the physical world, but also expanded the boundaries of human thought and imagination.
This has been an incredible deep dive.
Yeah.
We've gone from the stratosphere to the ocean depths, from scientific discoveries to philosophical musings, and what we've learned is that the spirit of exploration, it lives on in all of us.
It does. And it's up to each of us to keep asking questions, to keep pushing boundaries, and to never stop exploring the world around us, both the seen and the unseen.
Because who knows what incredible discoveries await us on the other side of the next frontier. This has been The Deep Dive. Until next time, keep exploring.